fun-filled show tonight.
I met a boy today.
It's your boy, Coach Career, the General, A60 Army.
She loving my style every time I'm.
You ain't need more money, Tito. You could have just invited 6 or 8 you down to nationals.
I'm around.
When certain people don't get their way or they feel slighted, they feel like they have a right to call us and voice their opinion. You don't.
We locked the
I've never removed a staff to allow a staff to move up.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Now everybody's a personal trainer. We know who the originals are, but now if you look, you can find them in every town. Now everybody's a personal trainer. We know who the originals are, but now if you look, you can. My bad, dog. I'm trying to get the shares out.
I did all the ones I could think of.
Hold on, just give me 1 second. We about to get it percolating.
Y'all know I eat during the podcast. It's like my signature. But I have my league, Central Connecticut Pop Warner League meeting tonight. I had to leave them early to get here to do the podcast because we got special guests. So shout out to Central for and Kelly and Yolanda and my board for taking over and handling my thing. The view button is not working, so it might say different numbers than what it's supposed to be, but that's okay. Boom, 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 boom. You ready, bro?
Let's go. We good money.
You got it?
Yes, sir. Shoot.
All right, listen. It's your boy PH the Prez, Mr. Above 140, and I am here with my co-host.
It's your boy, Coach Career, the General, A60 Army.
And y'all know we got a special guest tonight. And before I introduce him, I want to say we have been trying to get someone from National Pop Warner on our podcast for years, and we so thankful that the guest that we have is one of the best guests you could ever think of having to ask questions, to get informed about National Pop Warner and what's going on and what we expect to see in the future and things like that. So with that being said, we would like to welcome Mr. Steve Strawbridge himself from National Pop Warner, the CEO of National Pop Warner. Let's give him a hand. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, great, Phil. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. I hope all is well out there and with Pennsylvania. Before we start, it's funny. I just thought about something. I'm driving to Ohio tomorrow. My daughter is playing in the high school girls flag national championship at the NFL Hall of Fame. Is that where you are?
Yes, that's where I was. Yep.
Is it indoor or outdoor, the stadium? I don't know.
Outdoor.
It is outdoor, so that'll be my first time. I'm going to your old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm leaving at like 3 a.m., so right when we get off, I got to go to sleep. But
they'll play the Hall of Fame game there, the enshrinement there, so you'll be in the same stadium. I assume they're also about 8 fields outside, but the championships are usually played in the stadium.
Oh, it is? Oh, wow, that's going to be dope. So I'm excited for her. I'm excited. I've never been there. Is the Hall of Fame there as well?
Yep, it's right there. Yep.
I get to walk around and be at the NFL Hall of Fame, which is dope.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, Steve, welcome to the podcast. Listen, we greatly appreciate this. So before we start, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, where you came from, and anything you feel you want to know about yourself.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. When you asked a couple months ago, as you know, I was like, absolutely. When I've been here now a year and a half, and I want to talk to everybody. Be upfront. We've made a ton of changes in just 18 months. But my background, real quick, is I spent 12 years with the Philadelphia Eagles. I did all the merchandising and marketing and player relations. So it kind of got me the taste of working with the players, which is one of my favorite things. And And then I spent 16 years out at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I was the chief operating officer there. And one of the main things I did was work with all the players and all the leagues and all the coaches. And then my ties are really, really strong with the NFL, which is part of the reason why, when this job opened up and the opportunity, I was contacted. And the NFL really is very invested into Pop Warner and the future of the game. And so they called and I, interviewed and was happy to get the job. And it's kind of full circle. I worked for my favorite team, while I was young. And then
which is who?
The Philadelphia Eagles, see them behind me.
I know. I just
I know. And then, getting to work at the Pro Football Hall of Fame with the best players to ever play the game. And then now working with the kids in the future. And, it couldn't be a better and getting, for me, our home offices are here outside of Philadelphia, which is where I, wanted to get back to. So it's just absolutely perfect. And, just excited to kind of come full circle and keep moving forward and spreading the message, to grow youth football, cheer and dance, flag. And I know we'll talk a lot about that tonight. So, but that's a quick overview.
Well, you kind of answered my next questions, because one of them was what inspired you to decide to be part of Pop Warner as opposed to any other youth program. But you kind of answered that they kind of reached out to you personally and came after you because of your expertise and your knowledge of the game and working with large football type.
The NFL, has got a real vested interest in all of youth football. Obviously, not just Pop Warner, but Pop Warner being, the gold standard, the biggest group, the one that everybody knows. We are out there, and like I said, the NFL is seriously invested for the future. So they like the way we do it. Before me, that we, focus, on our structure. We vary our structure and teaching the game right. Coaches getting certified correctly. That is so important to us. And then, as the safety. Safety. I was 2 weeks ago out in Chicago with 9 of the top doctors in the country who are on our medical advisory board. Wow. Making sure that we go over. 4 of them are on the NFL board. Head and neck people, and making sure we're teaching everything right. And then, we've got the educational aspect, brought back the national banquet this year, which was a huge success. And then, we'll talk more about the true path for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You don't just pay your way in or get in there. It's not some big event. You got to win, as you're very well aware, you got to win your league, you got to win your region, to get down there. So to make it extra special. So that all appealed to me and a lot. And again, to be able to use my connections with the NFL and not just the league, but the teams, it was really important and to grow and to see where we're going.
So speaking of Pop Warner nationally, quick question. What areas of the country does Pop Warner currently reside in?
So, we obviously we have all 50 states, but there are, there definitely, a couple states where we're, either don't have a team in, but we are heavily penetrated basically in the entire East Coast, from the Southeast Florida all the way up to where you are up in Boston and quite honestly up in New Hampshire and Maine, really, really strong there, really strong in the true Midwest, from Chicago down, and then the West Coast. It's hard. The hardest things for us, and I think for anybody, are the less populated areas. It's hard, when you're in, Seattle and you've got to play games in Idaho, that's a lot different than, that takes a big commitment. But that's our, we are targeting the areas where we don't have that coverage. But for the most part, we are really strong. And quite honestly, what I was real quick, I was going to tell you. So our West Coast, WestCon, we call it, we have 8 regions, and WestCon includes Hawaii. And we are, I have a regional meeting in each region. And every 3 years it's out in Hawaii. And our coverage, I couldn't believe this. The amount of teams we have in Hawaii, Maui, and all the islands there, it's unbelievable. And we saw saw that firsthand in March when I was out there. And then you think of other crazy faraway places, Alaska, at our banquet in Chicago that we had in March, we had representatives coming from Alaska, from Hawaii. It's just so awesome, to see
So
everybody.
you guys had it in Hawaii, or is coming
The
up?
regional meeting was on the Big Island in Hawaii. Wow. And like I said, the Hawaiian Islands, it's a special place for anyone that's ever not been out there.
I was about to ask if y'all needed any additional support. I will fly in
every 3 years.
Technical so I'll talk to you in 3 years about helping out National Pop Warner.
Yeah, well, when you're down at the Super Bowl, make friends with Teddy and those guys, and we'll bring in a guest speaker.
We'll
do a podcast out there.
I think I need to do that. I should be a doctor by then, so I'm gonna make sure y'all bring in Dr. Phil.
I love it.
It'll be a play on words.
Love it.
So, all right, Steve. So, is there area of the country that you've seen the most growth as opposed to others? Like, is there area of the country that Pop Warner's hot in? Because, maybe the Southeast, you guys are already massive, but you starting to see some growth. I'm just wondering, is there area of the country that you're seeing?
Yeah, the biggest area is what we call Mid-America. So it's a pretty large area. It's from Illinois and Indiana down to, Kansas City. And where we're really seeing a huge growth is we just have in Ohio.
Yep.
It was an area where, quite honestly, a couple of years ago, we only had a few teams, and now it's becoming one of our leagues. We're going through our registrations right now and signups, and so we're seeing where our rosters are, and things are trending just so amazingly well. But this one league in Ohio brought in 60 teams, so I mean it's outside in Northeast Ohio. So it's growing, and then down in the Kansas area, the same thing. So. And I know you're very familiar, and I got to take it that other people aren't as familiar, but we're very strong, as in the Chicago area and the northern Indiana. So we're really trying to build that Indianapolis down. So we're really big on both sides, but that's an area that is really growing. You nailed it. The Southeast is so big already, but another area that's doing well is what we're calling the Mid-South, where we had our championship this year, as in Charlotte, but we're really seeing some strong growth in the Carolinas, and an area where we never had a team was Kentucky, and now we have a league in Kentucky. So we're seeing things really grow. But that, and then thirdly would be West, what we can call WestCon, California, Arizona. They just we're very, very strong out there, especially in the LA area and Arizona area, and we're seeing that really grow. And it kind of feeds off everything else. Like, my big thing is I just want to get out there, the story of Pop Warner, let people know about Pop Warner, because quite honestly, once they know about it, it's an easy sell. You want to be taught right, you want to have the chance to go to a Super Bowl, you want to be able to do everything right. But the competition is pretty fierce, and it's where it's the most fierce is the independents. It's the league where, let's just get, 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams, neighborhoods, dads and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, because we want to promote the game wherever they can play it. But all we need to talk to them and tell them is, hey, we've got a team here. Come join us. Now you have the full power of Pop Warner behind you. So, I kind of went off your question, but that's kind of our recruiting is let's get these independent teams, and all we have to do is let them know, where the nearest Pop Warner team or league, so we can get them in. And that's what we've done a really good job of over the last, year and a half.
So what would you say that separates your national championship game from the others? Like, if I said Pop won a national championship, and I looked at the others that's out there, not to name anybody specific, but if I looked at the others, what would Steve say to me if I say, Steve, what's so special about your national championship versus like someone else's?
Yep. And I know we always get, and Lisa Murawski well for my cheer staff, we're talking mainly football, but it's cheer and dance is massive.
Oh, I got cheer questions because that they knew when
I can hear in the
inbox.
I can hear in the back of my head. But the structure, the reason I brought it up is because the structure is the exact same. And when I say we're areas where we're strong, it's the same with cheer and dance. But what I say, and again, I go back to what I say, it's an easy sell because, again, as far as I know, we're the only group and association in football that has a true Super Bowl, a national championship. Again, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but you can't just go. You have to win your league. And as you know, in your area, competition is fierce.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting out of league is a massive job. Then you've got to win your region. And then after that, you get the opportunity where it's, 8 teams per age group. And I know we're going to talk about we have D1, D2, and now D3 that are, go down to play for a true Super Bowl and national championship. Same as that thing in cheer. You start, you got these, hundreds and hundreds of teams in each region. Each league, and then even more in each region. And then the same thing, that competition is fierce to get. So that's as far as I know. And again, I will never say anything bad about any other leagues or anybody else. But from what I understand in other championships, and again, not just football, but cheer as well, from what I've been told, and pretty much anyone can go, and they yes, they win that week. But I think when there's a couple hundred teams there or something, it's hard to say you're a true, Super Bowl championship if pretty much anyone can go.
Well, I will say it won't be no Lisa slander here. She may not remember this, but you remind her this. In 2018, I won Volunteer of the Year. I went down to the yacht club in Disney World, and they walked all the volunteers up, and backstage, Lisa was responsible, I believe, for like walking us onto the stage. And she may not remember this, but we had like a ball back there. But anyway, that was me.
Yeah.
All right. So, true or false? Are you guys expanding the amount of leagues in North Carolina this year?
For the Super Bowl?
National Super Bowl, yeah.
Yes. So we are we're bringing in Division III. And two things we're doing. Last year we entered 8U Division One, and it was literally probably our most successful. And as you know, when the kids are young, they bring the parents, the grandparents, and it was a massive success. But I don't want to just jump into things. I want to have some history, and so we only did Division One for 8U. Well, we're doing Division II for 8U this year, and that'll be huge. And then the other thing is, and I also just so everybody knows, I made it a thing to go around. We have our regional meetings in February, March, and April. 8 regions, as I said, throughout the country. So I spend about 8 to 10 weeks on the road every weekend, and go into each region. And in that region, there's large meetings. All the leagues are represented, the regional management staff. And I speak and kind of give an overview of the national, but I really like to hear what the people have to say. And, it might be, sometimes people get a little animated, and that's okay. To me, let's be productive, because at the end of the day, everybody cares. And it's because they care. If they didn't care and no one came to these meetings, that would be a problem. So with that, one of the things that we went out this year was it was a second meeting, and it was brought up, why don't we have Division III? And I was like, Clarence, our football commissioner, was like, hey, what do you think about this? And, because Division III, in football, you have Division I is the top, Division II and Division III is somewhat developmental in some cases, but it's also, the players are learning the game. Now, so we went through that, and again, I heard that. I went to the next region, and people were like, this would be great. In fact, up in your region in New England, they were like, this now are coastal teams that aren't big, that don't have, the ability to go to nationals. They're now going to have a chance to be in the Super Bowl. So kind of like I was saying with 8U, and again, so for 8 weeks we went over that. Then we have our national meeting the first week of May, and all the regional teams come in, and we sit there and we make our decisions for the year. And at that point, we had it had to have been a 2-hour conversation. We must have gone everywhere, every which way. And we ended up saying, let's do it, but let's kind of wade our way in. So we said, let's get 2 age groups that are far apart. And so we're doing 9U and 12U in Division III. It's a test. The one thing with Division III is you have a wide variety of level of play, because some regions, eastern regions, for instance, has 5 divisions. So a Division 3 team in Eastern is going to be pretty tough to beat, versus a Division 3 team in New England. So, we're going through it, making sure it's a good experience. But overwhelmingly, people were like, we have to give more kids the opportunity. They don't need to be Division 1 or Division 2. And again, we'll get to cheerleading and talk about that, what we did to expand there. But so yes, there is going to be D2 for 8U, and then for D3 we'll have 9U and 12U this year.
Oh, so only 9 and 12, so it's not expanding to all the. It's just 9 and 12 specifically.
Yep. For this year, we again, this was that like 2-hour, as I said, discussion we said, do we open it up 8U through 14U? And again, we just want to make sure we get it right, and I want to make sure we give the people the best experience. So we're trying it with 9U and 12U and seeing where what adjustments.
But it will be offered.
Clarify, you could bring your whole program to D3. It's
D3,
just
right?
8,
9.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. D3 goes around. Yeah. Sorry, already the whole country. But for the Super Bowl, it'll just be 9U and 12U this year. The goal would be for 2027. A full slate.
Cool. Right. So just to clarify about it, I could bring the whole Hartford Hurricanes into D3, but only 2 would be eligible for Super Bowl 9U, 12U.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And as you know, every region's a little different, but we wouldn't put, by your level of play, we don't let teams drop down to D3.
Right. Yeah. So, no, the Hartford Hurricanes wouldn't go, but
right. Just to be clear,
because we're using it for, like you said, some of the smaller teams, the teams on the coast, the smaller towns, to formulate and be able to have similar levels of play and have an opportunity to go down to nationals. At least that's what we're doing.
Yep.
All right, so let's switch gears.
Hold on. Before we get there, Phil. So I would assume there's going to be some kind of formula that you're using that allows you to go D3. I wouldn't anticipate that somebody that's been successful over 30 years is going to say, oh, this may work for us better. Can we go down there? Or is it going to be based on who makes the decision on who's allowed to go D3, basically?
That'll be region by region. And, there'll be a history. Like you said, if there's a team, we don't want teams dropping down, just like we don't want teams dropping at 1 to 2. And, hey, let's be honest, there are going to be some misses, just like they are from 1 to 2. But we're doing a really good job of making sure we watch those programs so it doesn't become a year after year thing. And again, that's why we're only starting with 2 divisions, because we don't want it to be, we need to see how this works to make sure we do it right.
Right. That makes sense. All right, so let's switch gears to get over to cheer real quick, because I want my cheer folks to keep Coach Phil, and I want Coach Phil want to be in their good graces. Talk to me about the Queen City Crown Open or Classic Open, whatever. Then I'll talk to you about the cheer levels and the expansion. And one of the biggest questions, and you may not be able to answer this, maybe I need to get Lisa on one day. One of the biggest questions that they threw at me in cheer, and I'm not, is cheer was split up for national champions. So, but let's talk about the Queen City Crown first.
Yep. So last year, it's a little bit of the same thing, that we just get this, huge demand for more things, more events, more everything. And again, as Pop Warner, obviously we love that you have to go through the program to be a national champion. But again, only X amount of percentage of teams are national champions. And excuse me, it's a smaller, it's a small group compared to the whole thing. Just like in football, I know in football, less than 2% of our teams go to the Super Bowl. So, that is very important. We want, we promote it. It's a big part, but we're here to serve everybody. So what happened is, with the national championships are so successful that, again, there's so many strong teams. We're growing that there were teams that were being left out. So, and so what we did is we added the Queen City, which is basically if you don't place in your, and qualify for nationals, you can still come now to the nationals championships and compete in the Queen City, which happens in the morning. So by age group. So, and we had a lot of teams that did this last year. And one unbelievable success story is that one team actually came out of the Queen City and won the nationals. Because what happens is, this is why Queen City is a great idea, and I'll give Lisa all the credit in the world. So you go and you compete that morning in the Queen City. The winner gets to go into a chance to go into nationals. So it's kind of like a second chance. And again, one team, believe it or not, which is we loved, because again, one region and one league might be really strong, and that third place team can beat other teams. So they got the opportunity to get in there, and they won. But the other big part of that is we allow every cheer team to register now on September 1st. So that's our big
Queen
thing.
City or non-Queen City?
Queen City or not. Basically, everyone goes in as Queen City.
Okay.
So basically, it allows, because one of the things I heard when I was going around my first year was, obviously, things are expensive. You got to fundraise. You got to do this and that. But if in September 1st, you have your hotel, your expenses, and you can go in and you're going to be in a competition. Now you have 4 months to fundraise. So it solved that huge problem that we got of teams not qualifying until mid-November and having 2 weeks, 3 weeks to raise money. So now you enter in September 1st, you get your choice of hotel. It's just a great thing. And then as you get close, and then let's say, you're in Eastern is the first regional, November 10th, you qualify for nationals, you just switch into nationals. You don't qualify, you're still going and having that event that everyone is asking for more. And again, we have success stories from last year. You win there, you can be in and they're not, it's not treated differently. It's nothing. It's an amazing experience. And it's a huge success last year. And it's like everything, we did so many firsts last year that people had to see it. And when that got around that a team won, people were like, okay, we're signing up now early, because there's zero reason, if you want to go and you think you're going to go, not to sign up on September 1st. So
now, and I didn't get a chance to go to cheer last year. As you know, I was volunteering on football.
Well, you're going to be in trouble, Phil. So, you were working, though. I saw you working.
Yeah, I am. I was working, everybody.
Yes.
Are they judged by the same judges?
Yes. Yep. It's literally like a competition. It's just not the national championship. But again, if you win, you get your chance. So that's why Lisa was so great how she did it. The age group that whatever day that morning, the Money Mites or whatever, they would be in the morning, and then the national as the Queen City, and then the national championship would be in the afternoon into the evening.
Are there any changes to your national championship in cheer this year from last year?
Nothing major. It was, man, I can't wait till you see it this year. The Charlotte Convention Center was just amazing, and one of the real benefits of Charlotte is that most of our cheer teams, I can't give you the exact percentage, maybe I don't know, most of them were able to get hotels in the city, and you could literally walk to the convention center. So it's really cool. So the big changes we're going to have is we are, and it was actually announced today in the newsletter, is we're going to have a really big festival at Light the Nights, where every athlete that comes down there will have the opportunity. And just so you know, we're talking 12,000 or so athletes. It's an amazing number, 12 to 15,000. We'll have the opportunity to go to, it's called Nights and Lights. And basically it's a baseball stadium they convert, the Charlotte Knights, which is right downtown. And there'll be skating, tubing, Santa, painting, games, all kinds of stuff. So it's something that, we wanted to give people, more to do. So that's going to be down there. And then Lisa's working really hard where they're going to have competitions or friendly competitions every day, whether it's, face painting, all kinds of stuff, little performances that are going to go on during the day. So that was kind of our, as far as the event schedule and the events, they were all second to none. But we want to make sure that there's just people have stuff to do, and that they a little more opportunity on things, and it's all free. It's nothing that we're charging anybody for. So we're real excited about it.
I'm looking at the Lights Festival. I guess there was one last year that went on.
There was, but this, we did a deal where, actually did a deal with them where, we're going to have a minimum of 15,000 people. So it'll be 5,000 people per night that'll be able to go. And then, parents will be able to go as well. But it's really cool. And we announced it today we gave some details, but we're going to give more as we get a little closer.
So while we're on it, is there anything else that you guys have added into the realm of things to do?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was that, most people stay for 3 to 7 nights, depending on, cheers 3 nights, basically. Football is basically 4 to 7. So the biggest thing is, and again, I talk to everybody I can, and people obviously, we were in Florida, we were in Orlando. Obviously Orlando's Orlando. But what we did is, again, proactively. So now we're looking at, like, the coaches also don't want their kids to focus. So our big thing is we want them to be able to focus on their game day, or, event day, and then give them that now one night where, they can go and do this great thing and have a great time as a team and team bonding. And then other things that, we'll continue to work at and look at. We're talking to all kinds of places with, Charlotte really is great with giving discounts. There's all kinds of Dave and Buster's and all kinds of activities down there, but it's obviously something that we want to make sure, and again, I'm not here to hide, the weather last year was cold. It was, but as I say, Phil,
cold on the lift, trust me.
Ray, Rodney up there, so he drove down after his game in Boston where it was -8. So, I know
50 degrees didn't feel so bad. It wasn't too far off with the wind over there last year.
We was on the lift though, Tito. We had to announce.
Yeah,
we was like
I announced the wind was knocking us. We both came back with raspy voices. I'm like, dude, we got sick out there.
Now on the ground level, you guys had
they had us calling the game up on top of with the scaffold. I mean, it's like a scaffold, but you're high up there. The wind's coming through. We wasn't dressed for it. We didn't have the bubble coats and none of that. We had our regular hoodies. It was rough last year.
Come on, you're from the Northeast. I tell you, we got.
We used to be in Orlando that type of year. Since we're gonna bring it up,
everybody kept saying, "You guys are from the Northeast. What are you complaining about?" And I'm like, "Listen, I get it, but you know what? I've never been 20 feet up in the air. I think that's true. Like But anyway,
but hold on. I did see you on the last day. When it was nice. 60 degrees of beautiful.
Listen,
so
I was finally able to wear my thin sweatsuit, feel good, and get back to myself. But
I've gone around and
2 days.
Yeah, I've had to talk to everybody this. I said, don't trust me. Look at the calendar. Look at the weather. The last 20 years, it was 15 to 18 degrees colder than it had ever been. So
actually around the whole nation, though.
I'm praying that we get to just be normal temperatures. Because Sunday was the best day ever, or Saturday was the best day ever. I was in short sleeves. It was great.
I had my NPR on the sideline on Saturday. That was good. So Steve, Michelle Quintana says, "Hi, Steve. Getting those league badges for president signs your favorite feisty one from the Southeast region, Pikes Peak Pop Warner." just thought I'd share that with you.
Tell them I'll say hi. I tell them.
and Erica don't want split national championships in cheer. I don't even know what that means, but Erica is from Central, and I had to say that because I have to see her in person in August, and I do not want to get beat up. So I don't know if you know what that means or anything.
I'm not exactly sure if the split is what, but I do believe, and Lisa will. I'm either going to say this right and everyone's going to, or Lisa will correct me and we'll get it to you. But I do know she made significant changes on, and as people had asked, so the same, I believe this is right, the same age groups, and this has all been published now, so it's out, or it's going to be out there. But that the same age groups are on the same day this year. I know there was an issue with. I think that's what that split thing is. But that was corrected.
Cool. I will say this before we move on from cheer. All three of my youngest daughters do All-Star cheerleading. I like the Crown City Classic, the Queen City Crown Open, because it reminds me of All-Star cheerleading in a sense that I think cheer is so much harder because you have to be perfect for 2.5 minutes. You know, you can fumble 9 times in a football game, get it right the 10th time and win a game. It's not like that in cheer. You have to be perfect. 2.5 minutes. I don't know if it's only 2.5, but
you're right. That is.
It's 2.5 minutes, and you want to hit 0, right? You want to hit everything, get your height, and hit 0. And to me, that's always more difficult, having to be perfect.
Yep.
And so with them having the opportunity to maybe have slipped up in the regional, but got in, then hit perfect the next 3 times, and then end up the national champion. And All-Star cheerleading, sometimes on the same weekend, they give you 2 opportunities. That's why I said that's dope. And I think I like that. So talk to me, Steve. Games are live streamed at Nationals.
Yep.
Flow Sports.
Flow Sports. Yep.
I know I seen a coach in the comments from Larry Myers from Hartford Hurricanes, was in the national championship couple years, said the media coverage is definitely A1. He likes the film and the camera crews, but that's all the same, correct?
Yep, it's all the same, and we're looking to we're actually gonna. Well, go ahead. Yep, I was gonna say we're gonna be on 5 fields this year.
So that was another question I had. Are you expanding physical football fields?
Yes.
The amount of fields we play on?
So 2 really good things about football. In year 1, there, you may or might not have saw, they actually have 9 fields. But
I saw the others, but they weren't open. Am I right?
Yeah, they weren't open, right? So they were already booked. So we were using 4 fields and then had to use 1 field as a practice field.
Correct.
Again, based on your long days and being up there and everything else, we now are going to be able to use 5 fields for games, which will Clarence has worked on. That's going to ease the schedule. So we're going to pick up an hour or 2 on each day, which will be really nice. We won't go late in the night or have to go with we're debating when we might move the start time back a half hour or so. Again, just to be safe. And then the practice fields are going to be those other fields right next to them, those 4 fields. So you're going to practice on those fields. You're going to do your pregame warm-ups on those fields. And then just walk right over. And now you're going to have the 5 fields, which is just awesome because that really we were pretty scrunched.
Especially
there were long days last
year. A great thing for the teams. My team pre-practice, it was just like me, and I had from like 10 and then, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that would be great to even have 40 and then 40, and then there's other teams there. That reminds me of the old Pop Warner when we were down at ESPN. That's what they used to do. Give you, like 3 fields. So
and just like we talked about cheer, we're going to be doing more in that area. Whether, and again, I don't want to be held to this for sure, but it's going to be like whether they're inflatables or whatever stuff to do out there, because again, the fields are second to none, and those, and watching and all that, but we want to have more to do for people. So we're looking to kind of expand that outside area to have stuff for families and kids and to do out there, some sort of a mini fan fest type thing. Again, for people to have more to do while they're there.
Real quick before I move on, I didn't ask this, and I actually don't know because I didn't do if I have a football tag, do that get me in the cheer, or vice versa? I don't actually even know the answer to that.
I see, you got me. I'm not sure. I believe it does.
I thought it did, but I'm not sure.
I think it depends what level, whether you're. As a coach, I believe you do, but I can get you the details.
No. I think that gotta be cool to know, because I think maybe we could get more cheerleaders at football and then vice versa. We're always this example is in Central. We shut down the week our cheer competition is.
Yeah.
We want to promote these girls cheer for the cheerleaders cheer for
the kids absolutely
kids.
get it.
No, the kids, the kids.
I thought you said with the credential, like the
No,
the
the
parents.
credential of the kids. Can they get
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, if they know their football team is playing and they're off, or vice versa. Absolutely. And we encourage that.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I think that I don't know if people knew that, because I don't know if I knew that last year. Maybe I would have brought my cheerleaders in to watch a couple games. That's all. And I think that that'll be good. All right. So how I get this question online all the time, and I see it in a lot of threads. Videographers and photographers, how can they apply to cover National Pop Warner national championships, or can they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But to tell you, to be honest, we're tough on that, because you have to, if you're with the team, no problem, easy. If you're national or regional as a true videographer or media person, absolutely no issues. But we, from a safety standpoint and everything else, we again, you know me, I'm just gonna be honest. People try to sneak on the field, so you've got these people on the field and they're like, I'm the team mom, or I'm the video, and then you've got three videographers who are out there, and the guy didn't even use his camera. So it's just, but yes, there's absolutely a process, and it's I'm interested you get a lot of it, because you probably get a lot of it because we are strict about it. They have to be, the team has to approve them, and we have to approve them. And obviously, if the teams approve them, we're going to approve them. But a lot of times you get the kid of the brother of one of the kids who wants to add on, and we can't have 5 people out there videography. So it's really not an issue. There's a whole process. You basically just put in the application, and it's pretty simple. And even if you get stuck and you don't do it ahead of time, there's a way to do it there as well. And again, I usually hear everything. I haven't heard that complaint, except for people that try to go over the system.
Well, no, nobody complained. People were just asking, like, how can I go down and cover national and record video and make highlights for them, and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
Somebody asked that on a national thread, and people was like, oh, you can't. And I was like, no, I think it's a process.
No, you absolutely can. Absolutely can. For your team, for your team, you're allowed on the field. Now, again, unless you're a true media person, or in your region, you could have someone for the region or your league that is, and it just, as long as the team approves it, it's totally fine.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, the big question, Steve. What is the likelihood you will be moving after 2027?
All right, so
I know you let me be quiet, but you're probably limited in what you could say. But that was the question.
Yeah, and believe me, I get that everywhere. Everywhere. Like I said, I go to all the regions. I can tell you that we are actively looking to what we're going to do after 27. And obviously, like you said, I can't put it out there, because one, we're having multiple cities and people reaching out to us who want again, a lot of what I feel that I brought is we brought Pop Warner more into the national picture. And just from our Super Bowl last year and the cheer and dance, we had record attendance, we had record viewership, we had over 23,000 hotel rooms. I mean, Charlotte boasted everything. So so it's nice. We're in a position where, again, back to my NFL days, where we're like, okay, you want us, you got to, like, what can you do for us? So, and Charlotte's going to be in the bidding as well, for sure. But I think there's we're going to look at everything, and my goal is to have an announcement, sometime early in 27, because I think it's important for people to know, where we're going in the future. And I'm also would say that we're looking for at least a 3-year deal, because I don't want to bounce it all over the place, we are certainly looking at all options. And obviously we have great relationships down in Florida. They obviously want us back, and then there are places that you'd be surprised throughout the entire country that want us. So it's going to be it's a fun process. I've done it before. We're kind of bidding things out, but we're starting. I'd say we will have a decision and announcement by no later than March of next year.
Cool. That's pretty cool. That's less than a year away. So Steve, as we talk, you brought something up, and I want to ask you about it, and it actually play off of a question I had. You said that you're getting at like there's interest in states actually wanting Pop Warner. We had some other leagues on, and they found that they were running into people not wanting youth football in their states. That don't seem to be your experience. And I'm not going to ask you about that part because that's not your decision. You just know what's happening with Pop Warner. So what do you think is the biggest threat to youth football today? And me and Tito always talking about the youth football culture and how we can try to move move it forward to a better place, or at least to a good place, right? And so how do you think we can try to negate like all of the negativity around youth football? Like, what do you think the biggest threat to youth football today is, as you sit as head of one of the largest youth football programs in the country?
Yeah, I think that, it's I can tell you every once in a while something comes up in legislature where, there's a state that, wants to do something, and we battle it together from the NFL down. But quite honestly, it's been knock on wood, fairly quiet in my year and a half here. But what the biggest, what we have to do, and again, it's why, again, I say selling Pop Warner is so easy. You have to do it right. And again, as much as I want, and if you had the NFL here, if you had anyone here, other competition or independent, I want people to play Pop Warner, but I ultimately want people to play youth football. It's what we're about. And quite honestly, I'm a big fan of multi-sport, but that's a whole nother question because I think it's healthy to play other sports. But and that's why flag is such a great addition. But our biggest thing I think is that like we have to follow the rules. We have to not try to honestly to break the rules. We can't the old Oklahoma drills and all that kind of stuff. That can't happen. You have to we have our coaches go through the USA Football coaches training. We have most of the regions have another set of training after that. That is so important because if we have to show that we are doing everything possible to teach the game right, I mean, we have tens of thousands of volunteers, and we can't look over everyone as a national offense, much less the region, and probably even the leagues have trouble, actually managing that. But you need to make sure they go through the programs, teach the games right. And if we do that, and it's going to keep the head injuries down and everything we're doing, whether it's no kickoffs and stuff like that at the younger ages, that is all for the safety of the game. And if we do that right, I don't think, again, the game's growing. And again, I go to in February every year, there's a NFL, it's called a stakeholder summit. And it's everybody from Pop Warner at the youth level to the high school level, NCAA and NFL. It's one of my favorite meetings. Roger Goodell is there. And it's just an honest conversation. And it's like, for instance, the state of Texas, it's hard to get into the state of Texas because Texas football in Texas, they do it their own way. Yeah. And you can't get in. I mean, we thankfully we actually just signed a huge group in El Paso, but it's hard to get into Texas. But it's something that we want to do. But that meeting there at the NFL, we see the numbers from the doctors, from SIFA, everyone else who's got the official numbers, and it's so fun to see from like 2020 and COVID. Where we are right now, and kind of it was this little steady line, and then the last year, 2 years, that line's really going up. And I can tell you, I can only speak for Pop Warner, but we are most definitely going to have a pretty large increase this year, and we're making serious grounds towards 27 as well.
Cool. Talk to me about the Crown City Classic.
So it's flag. It's the hot topic with everybody is flag football.
Flag.
Yep. It's a hot topic, flag football. The Crown Classic is something we did last year, and it was really cool. We have a partnership with NFL Flag, and we partnered with them. Excuse me, and we we brought in about 45 teams to have our first ever flag tournament. It was probably more teams than we expected. And again, doing everything the first time, you always have the people who are just like the Queen Classic, and now they're signed up for the Queen Classic, way in advance. So same with flag. Everyone's like, well, when's the stuff coming out on the Crown Classic? So what's cool about that is we listen to people, and we had it last year on Friday and Saturday down in Charlotte. And this year we moved, and people said it was tough to get kids out of school, on Friday, or to fly in from on Thursday or wherever. So this year we're going to have it on Saturday and Sunday. And I think that's just going to make a world of difference. So, we're going to have, who knows how many teams we're going to have, but I think it's going to be a pretty big event. And again, we laid the groundwork last year, and it went really well. And it kind of tails into our overall flag programs. It's all you hear right now is flag, and it's an amazing opportunity for kids to play, mainly in the off season, the boys, but it gives the girls, an opportunity, and we're seeing that, and it's really cool. It's fun. And what's fun about it the actual tournament down in Charlotte is that everything else, is the championship. So it's like in the Super Bowl, it's, you've won your league, you've won your region. The flag is a tournament. You still want to win the tournament, but it's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more,
you're unknown until you get there. That's the other thing. Like when you guys do the selection show, which I love, don't ever get rid of the selection show. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
You guys do it because the selection show is like the NCAA. You got kids.
I have some ideas for that selection show I want to tell you about too.
Oh, that'll be dope. I think y'all should make it doper, because I listen. I love seeing kids watching from all around the nation, waiting to see their name announced. That's cool. But
I want to bring in some players, and Tim will probably get me in trouble, but I want to bring in like a Hall of Famer or someone, to be a part of that. I think it'd be really cool.
Listen, it was dope. I think one year y'all had Tony Dungy do it.
Oh, really?
It might have.
That was obviously pretty me.
Down at ESPN. He was really cool guy. But the selection show is dope. I do. But I think with the flag, let me be clear about this, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's open to everybody. You don't have to a Pop Warner program at all. You just have to be a flag program following the rules of age, and you can register September 1st to come. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely. Yep.
So if
that's intentional.
Anything.
Yeah, and that's intentional, because we want to, kind of like I've been saying all along, we feel if someone comes to that tournament, sees the way Pop Warner runs, they're going to join Pop Warner. So, gotcha. and again, if they join in flag, they're most likely going to join in tackle. So, it all kinds of goes together, and it comes back to my number one thing that I tell everybody is I just want exposure, because again, the programs, everything sells itself. So, yep, that's what we're looking for.
All right, Steve, down to the last two questions. I noticed that Pop Warner in their league, you don't see as much of the Tito, how do we call this? The craziness, the barking, the running in each other's face and slapping each other on the helmets.
The low frequency behavior.
And Pop Warner, not even online, not even in the leagues. Is that something that you guys talk about? Is it is that just natural through the fact that the rule structure of Pop Warner, or is that something that you preach to your regions to watch out for?
We absolutely preach it, and it kind of goes back to what you were asking about. Making sure youth football doesn't come under attack. And, you're obviously going to get your things that are going to happen, and you can't control that. You can do everything you can, but you're going to get a wild card every once in a while. And believe me, we pray that, that things do go well. But yeah, we make a big effort to, sorry, I saw something come up here. If you're,
it's a question I wanted you to answer, because I
you absolutely can, Bob. But yes, we do make that a real emphasis. As you know, even things where, again, this goes back to Clarence, who does a great job, our football commissioner, is, you know, the rules and the suspensions and the penalties. You know, you can control the kids and the coaches. Like always, it's the parents that are usually the ones. And you know, so again, but we really emphasize that in all of our training and everything we do. And quite honestly, we put out, and this is something that the NFL just loved, and we didn't do it for the NFL, but if you remember last year, we put a PSA out supporting the referees, and that's, you know, that's a big one. Is, you know, the referees, you know, that's probably one of the hardest things in our sport, is in all sports, but is losing referees. You know, you go out there and, you know, sometimes it's not worth it, you know, for the abuse they can take. So we really do emphasize supporting our referees.
Yeah.
Well, I also think some of it, well, a lot of it, because, you know, I've been a part of these other leagues. The rule structure of Pop Warner and the parameters are clear. Like, certain things aren't going to be tolerated. You can't do certain things here that you could do other places. Like, for instance, with the restrictions with the helmets. I know for a fact other leagues aren't doing that. You know, with the every 2 years now? What are we up down to now? Every other year, right? Whatever. Yeah, 2 years. So, I mean, I think as long as those type things in place, is going to not attract a better crowd, but it's going to attract people that are more rule oriented.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, and this is something that I've gone around and preached is, you know, growth is my number one thing. You know, I want, again, exposure, growth, everything. But if I won't bend on our structure, like you just said, if you're not going to follow the helmet rules or whatever rules we've got, you know, as much as we want to grow, you know, you got to follow the rules, and we are extremely. That's just so important to us. And some people don't want to. Some people, leagues, want to go do their own thing. And again, I think that hurts overall youth football if you're not following. Our rules aren't you know, are come down from the highest levels, so it's not like something that's gonna, you know, be detrimental to the kid or the coach or anybody. But, you know, you got to have rules, you know. And if you can't, helmet certification is a non-starter. If you absolutely have to have your helmet certified. So yes, so I do think that helps.
Well, I mean, I know, like, for us, the reason we support Pop Warner is because me and Phil, we like the rule structure. Not everybody in our area shares the same sentiment. So, I mean, it's, you know, I think it always, in my opinion, will always separate Pop Warner is the parameters and the rule structure and the history behind a lot of it, compared to a lot of these other leagues that have popped up over the years.
All right, Steve, last question.
Oh boy.
Bill and Tito is lucky enough to win the national title game. 20 years in, we haven't. But let's say we lucky enough and the football guys is with us. What are we getting in Pop Warner? What are you going to give us? You're going to give us ring? What are we getting? I've never.
Yeah. So you get the championship ring.
Nice.
And those are obviously what everybody wants. So it's the ring, and obviously you get a plaque for the team. And then obviously the recognition, but as the ring is the big thing that everybody gets.
The head coach, they get that glass. They get to keep that glass.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So that's the ultimate. And you know, these kids want these rings more and more bling. And so, but no, that is
ice. Add the ice to it, man.
Yeah.
Add the ice to it. They listen. I tell people all the time. It's sad, but the truth is, there's one team at every level that Pop want to have that will not cry at the end of the year. Only one. From the national champion runner-up to every other team at 10U in the nation will cry before their season over. There'll be one that'll be happy on December 12th this year. And if you think about it like that, it ain't all that bad to just play, have fun, and go, because everybody's going to cry. You might cry in October and not November. You might cry November 20th or December 6th. But at some point, if you don't get the ring, your kids are probably going to cry. You know what I'm saying? And that's just it. So, Steve, here's my last suggestion. Last year, I played the NFL player's son. And he was coaching as well. I think we need to promote those type of things. I didn't know until afterwards. All the parents started telling me, yo, he's in the NFL and that's his son. He all over YouTube. I think we should all work together nationwide, that when we have those type of people coaching, that we, make sure that we know that they down at National Pop Warner, because our kids was like in awe afterwards. Of course, after we lost to them, I don't know they want to talk to him, but they would have before. You know what I'm saying? And I think even in one of our coaches in Manchester played in the NFL as well. And so I just think that we should blow that up a little bit more, that we got actual NFL guys and coaching, and some big YouTube sensations like the young kid out of West Chase. People were taking pictures with him all over the place. And, I just think that we should blow that stuff up. Definitely is dope, but I just thought
no, I totally agree with you. Obviously with my connections with the Hall of Famers, and, now I won't say that Tim's Pop Warner podcast is anything like your, podcast here.
Oh,
but,
we spicy, baby. Spicy.
We did have 16 Pro Football Hall of Famers on there, and it was pretty awesome. Guys like Steve Young, Jim Kelly, the best of the best, obviously. But you're right. There are a lot of guys. I know Drew Brees.
Last year, D'Angelo Hall coached one of the teams.
Yeah, he coached one of the.
D'Angelo Hall coached one of the Odell teams, and then the year before, Drew Brees,
like it would have been dope. I think the kids would have been like
the year before. In Orlando, Drew Brees was coaching one of the teams. I think that's what we was talking about. If there's a way to highlight, especially those guys that the bigger name guys that are involved.
Absolutely, no, I couldn't agree more. We hired over a year now, or quite honestly, our social media was so, and so I know you've seen a huge difference in that, and not only on the national level now, we are all over social media, but we also, each region has a social media coordinator. So we've seen a massive, and again, it goes back to everything I keep saying is just exposure, so now we have, hopefully people are following our social media because it gets a lot of interaction, and we try to promote, during the season, even plays and highlights and stuff, but all the good stuff that's going on. So and I couldn't agree more that any of these guys that we can promote that are coaching and a part of Pop Warner, we should be all over that.
Steve, it wasn't that bad on the New England Football Podcast with me and Tito, was it?
No, man. Hey, can I do one thing to close?
Hey, go ahead.
All right. You there?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. One thing to close, and this is just because it's really important to Pop Warner, is our educational aspect and our scholastics. There's four things to separate us: the structure, as we talked about, the safety, the true national championship, that we talked about, and then our educational aspect. And we used to have a national banquet. The last time we had it was 2018. And again, I'd say when I went around last year, everyone's like, bring back, and that was number one goal. And quite honestly, I wasn't sure how we were going to do it. And but we did it in Chicago. And this year it's going to be on April 10th in Orlando, which we're super excited about. And we had this year we had 620 kids there and people there, and we gave out over $200,000 in scholarships. So that is something that we had never come close to before. And then as you guys are aware, that doesn't count the regions that do their own thing. New England region does an amazing program in Gillette Stadium, and again, you don't get that unless you're part of Pop Warner. And not only do they have their banquet, recognize the kids, I think they gave out over 50 grand. So, it's just, it's unbelievable. That's the kind of stories we want to promote. And, we want these kids, we gave out a number of $10,000 sponsorship or scholarships, and they're from the NFL. They're from, our partners, Riddell, Panini, everybody else that is supporting us, Jams on the cheer side. So it's really, it's just really another important part. And, it was funny. I was talking to one mom who came up from Florida, and she's like, it was a cheer mom. And she's like, her daughter won a $5,000 check, and we gave those, those big checks.
Yeah,
And she must have paid $200 to have it shipped home because she wanted to put it up on their wall. But she's like, she said, Steve, we go to all these cheer events, all over, spend a fortune. When you brought the banquet back, we're like, we're gonna fly to Chicago and celebrate the educational part. And I'm telling you, when you're in that room and these kids, and one of the things I make them do is stand up and turn around and clap and look at their parents in the eye. It's special. And again, that's when you ask full circle, working with the Eagles, where our only mission was to win football games and make money. And then you go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where we're a nonprofit, and our whole mission is the guys that play the game. And now at Pop Warner, our whole mission is to grow youth football, youth cheer and dance, and guys like you guys that I appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate you take a lot of bullets, and as you know, one of the things I pride myself in is that I'll talk to anybody. And, I love talking to people, because if we don't listen, and again, as I always say, I always put a disclaimer out there, it's got to be productive. If you're just going to come and complain, that doesn't help. Come up with some solution. And you've been amazing with that and your whole group. So I really appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for having me on. And I can't wait to see you guys soon.
Sounds good. And just to let you know, the last banquet you guys had, that was the one I was talking about. It was actually at the Yacht Club in Disney World, and they gave out $99,000. I'll never forget.
Okay.
I was just there, volunteer of the year. Of course, it was dope because it was in May, and my daughter got to have her birthday at the Yacht Club, which I've never seen. But yes, it was an amazing event. Like I said, they gave out $99,000. They had some exceptional athletes. My daughter got a football signed by like a professional female soccer player. They had different players there. And I was taking pictures with some of the kids. They was like, yo, let's take a picture. I'm like, cool. Like it was a really dope event. I am glad that you guys brought it back. Because I got to experience it like up close and personal. Knowing I wouldn't get volunteer of the year again. I already got it. But I just thought that was something that people needed to have. Yep. And I think it was pretty dope. Well, anyway, listen, Steve, thanks for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. The first Pop Warner person to ever come on, with everybody being nervous that it wouldn't go well. I think it was a great interview. I think it was informative for everybody out there. And last thing, if somebody wants to start a program, Steve, what's the best way? I get asked that question all the time. Yeah, the best way is to there's a form you can go to our website and put in a thing, but the best way is just to reach out and to any contact you have, and then it goes right to Jacob, who's our membership manager, who will go out and he works with the region, the league, to get anyone to be a part. But pretty easy. On the website there's a league finder and all that, so you can do that and get your way through. And if you get questions post that you want to email me, I'd be happy to give you answers. Again, we're here to, we're going to be upfront with everything, and whether they might not agree with everything, but we're going to try to do what's best for the kids and everybody else. Sounds good, Steve. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for coming on. Yes,
all right, thanks, man.
There you have it, Tito. We got through it. I think we got all the information out. 2027 is up in the air. Most people, that's what everybody want to know.
Hopefully we're back in Orlando.
Hopefully we're back in your
you gotta go home.
We're back at Tito house. Hopefully we're back to Tito house. And if we go back to Tito house, he'll advocate 100% Pop Warner to never leave again. He might try to run for regional director to make sure that happens. Once we back it up. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. Tito might actually move to Orlando. Once Pop Warner make an announcement and going back to I think he may actually try to move to Orlando. If Steve announced in 2027 Pop Warner's going back to Orlando, Tito is 100%.
It don't even got to be Orlando. It could be Daytona. It could be anywhere within an hour.
You just need to be able to go home and sleep.
Just go.
Y'all see what he's trying to do? He's trying not to have to stay in the housing because he got a house down there. We don't have that. He has a house.
Bro, I was 10 minutes from Camping World, dog. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 10 minutes from camera roll. 10 minutes. I don't like the how.
Listen, I thought it was a good interview, and let me tell you why. I think I don't think, and I don't want to say this to be big, I do not believe. I understand why John Butler would not have came on. I don't think he was as articulate. He's not as out front, and he's not as forward and open of a person as Steve was. When I met Steve for the first time, I told you this, Tito. Like, he was just like, like, what up?
Right, but the body of work is very different. Steve has been involved with the business of football. It's very different than what it seemed like John Butler's role was. The role is completely different. I mean, from what I noticed in the 5 years I've been involved with Pop Warner, because people seem to forget that I was in AY for 20 years. I only been here for 5 years as far as Pop Warner is concerned. But from what I've seen in the 5 years that I've been involved, is they've modernized, with this new latest regime. It's made a turn, and they've gotten with the times, where we know it was very much the old boy network prior. You know what I mean? They have a social media presence now. They have people willing to talk and take these interviews. That wasn't going on 2-3 years ago.
Right. No,
that wasn't going on. And not that we were their favorite people, because we brought up some hard topics of things that we were seeing and experiencing.
People can say what they want. The stuff that you and I, when we were we held AYF accountable for the stuff, the crap that just happened at their nationals. So Craig came on and had to speak to it. We held Pop Warner feet to the fire many years ago when they had their issues, but I think it made them better. We'll never get credit. I actually think it made them better. They had to take a hard look at themselves, right?
Well, they made some changes. They made some changes.
They made positively, and not for us or to us. I think that those are the changes they needed to make anyway, and they might have sped up the clock, but they needed to bring in new people. They needed somebody that got ties with the NFL that could call Tony Dorsett and say, yo, come do X, Y, Z. I mean, for goodness gracious, who was going to make that call? Nobody, right? And so I think that helps. I think showing that you're open for communication matters. Like, just that alone. Perception is reality, Tito. If you're perceived to be an open person, honestly, you can tell people anything. If you perceive to be an open person that's open to communication. And one thing he said to everybody out there, some people going to take this literally. So, Steve, if you're listening, good luck. Because you said, you could come to me anytime. I'm open for communication. Just make sure it's not super negative. So you're going to have 1,000 people waiting in line to talk to you. So you should set up the Speak to Steve booth at National, because that's what's going to happen, right? Everybody's going, so you said you want to talk to me. So he got to be prepared for that. But the fact that he is open. And listen, he talked to me and Kelly on the side of the field while we're watching a football game and had a real conversation. To me, that's how you listen. I think Central is successful because people know they can talk to me. They can talk to Kelly. They can talk to Tip. They can talk to us. We don't say, hey, send an email. Tito's going to get the email. He's going to forward it to Yolanda, who will read it. She'll send it to Kelly, and Kelly will get back to you, but it'll be Tiffany because she's the secretary. So as you talked about how National Pop Warner started to update some things, I think it's now time for regionals and independent leagues that had these people that's been around as long as John Butler to start to look at themselves and say, okay, National Pop Warner is moving at a fast pace. They're getting a little more present on social media. I should have told him we got to get into TikTok, though. But it's okay. I'll talk to him when I see him. We got a bit of presence on social media. Now, he said the regions got it. Now we need the programs to get with it. I think the programs might have been ahead with social media because that's how we bring in registration. But I think leagues are more resistant to updating their changes. And I think that was the tough part. And but all in all, I think it was a good interview. I think he got an opportunity to tell people what Pop Warner is about, because oftentimes people think that I champion Pop Warner, and it's not that I champion them, is I stand on what's good for my community. And right now, Pop Warner
is best for us currently. This is not even a debate. I mean,
it's for us currently.
It's what's best. It's
not best for the Hartford Hurricanes. It's not. Right, I don't think it's best for the Hartford.
It's what's best for what Bell City and the Hartford Hurricanes got going on.
Right.
I mean,
right. And so it's not about champion a national brand. If I'm a champion my community and they say, hey, Phil, you're responsible for these 267 kids. That's how many I had last year. You're responsible for these 267 kids. What are you going to do with them? They're asking me to look at everything and put them in the best position. For me, Pop Warner is that best position, right? And so that's what I champion. Now, those people that argue too much, the Pop Warner versus AYF versus UIF versus all of that, I don't get into that because football leagues don't make good players. Tito does, Phil does, Rodney Myers does, Larry Myers does, Fred Stevens does. We, the community, the coaches, the team moms, we make the players. We make the good cheerleaders. When you got people like Terica out there and Mount Hope cheerleading coach and Derby cheerleading coach, they make the good cheerleaders. We too many times equate that to league. Oh, AYF got better football players. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, it physically doesn't make sense because I can literally jump into AYF today. Does that mean now my players are better? No. So players, how good you are. Now I will say this. I say it all the time. Do I think AYF has more competitive teams than Pop Warner? Yes, but for the reasons he said.
Right. They let anybody, you can show up. They have open divisions. They basically have open divisions. I mean,
right. Yeah,
at least in UIF, at least he has a dedicated open division. Right. But we know Division One and AYF in Division One, you don't have to play a AYF schedule to show up and play.
You don't. Okay.
Right. In Division One tournament.
And I think that's a big difference. I mean, some people do, right? Like Vaughn and them do, right?
Well, they're Division Two. They're not Division One. That Division One, that's the hit squad. That's the hit squad division over there in AYF. I mean, you have to have a legitimate all-star team. And even as we know, when you call these all-star teams, they ain't them type of all-star teams. They don't have money behind them. They're not drawn from 4 or 5 hours away. Like, those teams legitimately are drawn from that whole region. And those regions are by far well more populated than anything we deal with up here in New England. So, and that's why I don't even like talking about it, because it's not our reality at all. It's not our reality.
True. Not listen, I agree. That's not our reality. I don't think that we should as a matter of fact, Tito, let me show something on the screen. I just found my 2018 national pictures. Look at this. Look at this. So people don't think I was lying. Look at this. Look at my daughters, all 3 of them. One is not even here, by the way. Dressed in my polo. I want to, I was still, look, I told you the kids wanted to take pictures. I was holding my daughter, but they're like, yo, let's take pictures. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Look, scholarship banquet, May 26th. This is actually my daughter's birthday, everybody. It was May 26, 2018. I was down at the yacht club. Listen, they had Mickey ice cream in the shape of Mickey ears. Steve, you bring that back. Look, I just said, y'all see, I don't be lying. Look at this. This is the ice cream. It was on the plate. That was Mickey ears. You can't see them because they even had the Pop Warner chocolate. Pop Warner used to have chocolate. Let's go. Bring it on back. I'll take it. And listen to this.
Little scholars, Tony Corletto. Tony, please come up here. Tony is going to award our Wilson, Elser, Moskowitz, Edelman, and Dicker LLP. Good to see you, sir. We have 2 $750 scholarships. These are being awarded to the Palm Harbor Panthers, Elizabeth Mason, and the Oviedo Pop Warners.
Oviedo, Tito, your area.
Let's welcome up Alexander and Elizabeth.
No, they was giving out money, man. I told you by the end of the night, they said they gave out $99,000. And we talked to our league tonight, Tito, about making sure they do the scholarship, because our league was tired of showing up the scholarship banquets. And we know how smart the kids in our communities are in Central Connecticut, Pop Warner, but they weren't being recognized properly because our presidents wasn't doing it. So we're going to hold their feet to the fire to make sure they start to go down that path and fill out the scholastic paperwork and get those children in there so they could be recognized. That's one thing we stressed tonight at our league meeting before the podcast. Now, Tito, the New England Bowl Championship Series, Tito. The NEBCS is going down.
We're a little more than 2 weeks out.
A little bit more than 2 weeks out. The largest youth football game in New England is going
High
down.
school or youth, be clear. This is the largest football event in New England, high school or youth. Whatever football event you're talking about, we have the biggest one. There's not even nothing to talk about.
Thousands of people come to the game, and we invite everybody: high school coaches, prep school coaches, New England region board members. We have invited everybody to these games. Y'all know what we do. Y'all, the uniforms is here. Here they go.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm not trying to get negative, but even again in year 6, even with all the hate, we filled all the games are going down, all the teams are filled, all the teams are practicing, all the teams are functioning. Just know, we know who held out. We know who held out. We know the intentions behind who was holding out. And you'll never be involved with it again.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mass is Scooby-Doo. Uniforms, I think this is the 9U coaching shirts they were giving out today to the coaches. Every coach, you want to coach in the game? Guess what? Want to coach in my game? You got to wear a coach's shirt. You know what I tell them? How you going to fight with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on you? How you going to be sitting there trying to fight with Scooby-Doo? We not doing that. This is one game, Tito, that's all about the kids. We got the Teletron to be there. We allow kids to run for the first time ever. They'll be seen on a big screen. They'll be 20 feet up in the air. It's a 22-foot Teletron that we paid to have shipped in. The coaching shirts is here. The uniforms are on their way. Here's the purple because why? You got Donatello. So the teams chose purple. This is the largest youth game. This is the largest football game in New England, right? And again, if you got a commercial you want to run, talk to me. We got the Teletron. Just send me the video. We'll come up with something. You can run your commercial right up on the Teletron in front of thousands of people. What better advertisement than to get at youth football than that? This is, again, look, 13U, we call it the Rose Bowl, right? Connecticut versus Mass. So we call it the 13U Rose Bowl. Every game is themed after a bowl. Mass versus CT is the Rose Bowl. The 12U Bowl is the Cotton Bowl. The 11U Bowl is what? The Fiesta. No, the 10U Bowl, the Fiesta. What bowl you got, Tito?
To be honest, I don't know. I know we got the 7 o'clock game, brother. Whatever one
You got
it
the
is.
7 o'clock game.
Whatever one it is, we'll be there. 10U will be there. Whatever one it is.
But it's going to be a great day of football. Again, we're going to have an all coaches meeting next week. And if you out there, come in peace. We have never had no arguments, no violence, no ill will. We
don't even got to talk about that, bro. Because we got to tell people. There's always some people that want to come and be 60 years old and tough, right? And it's the corniest thing in the world because most of y'all are buying Ninja Turtle shirts and Scooby-Doo. I don't know how you're going to look on the news trying to be tough in a Scooby-Doo shirt. Those two things can't go together. Though, I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pretty tough. Mass, y'all Scooby-Doo, I don't know. Y'all not pretty tough. So good luck to y'all on trying to pull out these wins. But Tito, yeah, so the games are going down. Everything is set in place. I think I will say this, Tito. The older kids games, the 13U and 12U games are going to be very competitive, and they're going to feature some of the best talent. I think all the games are going to be competitive. I believe all the games are going to be competitive
this year.
I think it's even across the board. I mean, bro, there's athletes in Mass too. Like
there are. Listen, no, 100%. There's athletes in Mass. I won't take that. You know, Sam made a meme. We didn't really get into our meme game back and forth this year, but we'll take the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle taking over Scooby van. And Mass didn't really get into the talking, which means, Tito, they might be locked in. So we got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? We got to worry about that. They might be locked in. But all in all, Tito, I think this was a great day. I think it was a good podcast. I think we did what we were supposed to do.
I mean, listen, we've had all three. Just to recap 2026, we've had the CEO of UIFL on. We've had the CEO of AYF on, And now we had the CEO of Pop Warner on. There's not another youth football podcast in the nation that's had all three of the head men from the national organizations. And let me be clear, the only three that matter, the only three that offer real national championships, because there is no national championships in the spring. I hate to inform all you guys. We've got them all on the New England Youth Football Podcast.
With that being said, National Pop Warner Rankings is coming this summer. I know how mad y'all get when you're not on my top 10 list, but it's not me. It is a group of people that I put together that come up with these rankings, and we're starting our talks. I already spoke with Fast Break out of Ohio. Everybody was talking about they're leaving, they're going to AYF. He's not. He's coming back to Pop Warner. I already talked to him. And the reason they said that, Tito, is they was talking about the Pop Warner AYF national champion, and they were talking about who can beat him. And believe it or not, though they say Pop Warner not good, AYF put out on their rankings that the Pop Warner national title champion, Fast Break, is probably one of the best contenders to beat that AYF national title. I think it was like Miami Gardens or something. So listen, good football teams are good football teams. I don't care what you call it. You could play in backyard boogie. If you could tackle and you can call plays and you know how to be technically sound, you can win. And so National Pop Warner Rankings is coming. New England Pop Warner Rankings is coming. We'll be here in about a month as well. So some exciting things is coming. Stay glued to the national, all the Pop Warner sites. We'll be posting it everywhere. You'll see the rankings. If you got information on who's out there, who's ranked, etc., let me know. I typically don't rank 8U. Those guys are coming from 6U. I don't know what the hell's going on at them levels. How would I know? I can take the 8Us from last year, and I can tell you the Firecats are the number one team in Division 1 at 9U at National. I'll give you that already. And probably Cap City ranked 2. Even though I'm going to give Cap City, I'm going to give y'all a nugget. I see y'all work. I see y'all working. I see y'all posting. I see y'all recruiting. I see it. And I have taken note. However, Firecats was just too fast, and I've never seen 3 kids that fast on the same team in my life. So they will remain number 1. That's the only nugget I'm going to give everybody in Pop Warner. And with that being said, Tito, I'll let you wrap it up.
No, we good. Again, we're 2 weeks out from the NECBS. And we'll be back next week. We'll be back next week. We'll try to get coaches on. Everybody being so quiet this year. We'll try to shake the tree and get a couple Maz guys on, get a couple CT guys on to make next week interesting. Those that are willing to participate and try to hype up the game. This has been one of our slower marketing games yet. So it could either mean for a great day of football or it could be a day of runaways. We don't know. That's why you got to show up and watch the game.
That's why you show up and watch it. We might not stream it live. We might stream it an hour afterwards so you don't get to see it live. That just might be something we do. Either way, it's your boy PH, the Prez, Mr. Above 140, and I am here with my co-host.
It's your boy Coach Correa, the General, Bell City Broncos, 5th State Army. See y'all next week.
Army and NEBCS Above 140. Coming 2 weeks. July 11th, Bloomfield High School. Tap in with us. We got a fun-filled show tonight.
I met a boy today.
It's your boy Coach Correa, the General, 860 Army.
She loving my style every time I'm.
You ain't need more money, Tito. You could have just invited 6 or 8U down to Nationals.
I'm around.
When certain people don't get their way or they feel slighted, they feel like they have a right to call us and voice their opinion. You don't.
We locked the
I've never removed a staff to allow a staff to move up.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Now everybody's a personal trainer. We know who the originals are, but now if you look, you can find them in every town.